Welcome to the Road Reaction Post-Game Show. We are back for another one of these. We have, I think, five, well, now four more. Yes, four more
Wow.
tonight, and we will be done. I'm Jonathan Santiago. That is James Ham. And I hope we don't have to do another one of these types of recaps because this game was brutal. The Kings losing to the Oklahoma City Thunder 94-81. Do not let the score fool you. This game was not close at all. You have to look at like the quarter by quarter breakdown to
Yeah.
see what really transpired in this one. The Kings did not lead at all against the Oklahoma City Thunder this evening.
They trailed by 31 going to the fourth.
Yes, it was just a
Ugh.
complete beat down by the Oklahoma City Thunder on the Sacramento Kings. And yeah, story of the game really is DeMarcus Cousins not getting off. We'll address that in our three things to watch because it was one thing that I made a note of in that in our game preview. But yeah, just a complete beatdown. Kevin Durant, 29 points in 29 minutes. Russell Westbrook, 18.6 assists and 5 rebounds in 24 and a half minutes. So the Thunder just dominating the Sacramento Kings this evening in the first game of their three-game road trip.
Yeah, honestly, John, watching what Westbrook did, I wasn't that impressed. He has 18 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds in 24 and a half minutes. But he was going up against Ray McCallum, a rookie, in his second career start. McCallum, because I don't know why this is, why the Kings have sort of done this with their roster. I'm very, very confused at this moment why they have two guards on their roster. Outside of Isaiah Thomas, who's hurt, Isaiah Thomas goes down, you've got two guards. That's it. I mean, they have to have somebody else. I mean, we've seen them bring in Royce White. We've seen them bring in, Orlando Johnson. They even brought in Willie Reed this week, but they still haven't brought in a guy who can help out in the backcourt. So what I saw out of the early time of Russell Westbrook, he ended up getting I think 8 points in the first couple of minutes of this game. Was a guy who wanted to sort of inflict his will onto a rookie, and honestly, he got lucky. A lot of his shots weren't on, and they bounced high, and they bounced twice or three times, and they found their way in. I know he had a fast break dunk that again wasn't on Ray McCallum. And he got off early, and I think that kind of set the tone for this game. But I don't think Ray McCallum really did anything wrong. I think he actually, once again is proving that he is an NBA caliber player.
Yeah, let's look at Ray's final stat line for the night. We see that Ray finished with 13 points, 5 assists, and 4 rebounds, 6 of 16 shooting. Shooting is just a struggle for him. He has a pretty inconsistent jump shot right now, but
Yeah.
once he can figure that out, he can probably be a little deadly off the bench. He's been solid, I think. I mean, granted, he's getting all the minutes in the world. 45,
Yeah.
45 minutes. He's played a total of, I think,
46, John. It's 45-42 is what he
yeah,
played.
if we want to round up. So you're looking at around an hour and a half of minutes of playing time over the last two games. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't have it in front of me, but I wonder how many consecutive games did he play before that to total that much playing time, prior to these,
Yeah, like
these
10
last two
games.
games.
Yeah, I think he was averaging 21 and a half minutes in the month of March. So you're looking at 4 games to get to that amount of minutes that he's been getting that he got over the last 2 games. Yeah, it's a lot of playing time.
Yeah, definitely a lot of playing time. And when you look at again, you mentioned there that they only have two guards right now, with Isaiah Thomas not playing tonight. To make matters even to compact matters even more so for the Kings, both those guards are rookies, and they have nobody
Yeah.
else besides two rookie guards, running the show right now. So of course it's going to be tough, and I think you saw that especially in terms of just them not being able to get the ball to DeMarcus Cousins in the low post tonight. Just
Or Rudy Gay. Yeah.
there. So.
Well, let's hit this, John. What are our 3 things to watch for tonight?
All right, let's begin with does Isaiah Thomas returns to the Kings lineup? No, he did not return. He missed another game with a right quad contusion. His second consecutive game. It's only his second missed game of the season for the Sacramento Kings. So, the Kings really could have used him tonight, as we have alluded to here in this show. But again, Isaiah Thomas missing in action. And a stat to note in regards to Isaiah Thomas, the Kings against the Thunder, Isaiah Thomas over his last 4 games has averaged around 26 points a night. So when you lose that type of scoring in a game like this, where they were down, close to 30 to 40 points in this one, that's tough. That's really tough.
Yeah, I mean, you need all of your horses in a game like this if you're the Sacramento Kings, and playing without really what has really developed into your floor general. I mean, he has become completely the floor general of this team. It's his team, and when you take him out of it, I don't think he's a great matchup against Russell Westbrook, but I also don't think that Russell Westbrook can hang with him at all. He's so incredibly quick going to the basket. We've talked about this a little bit, but Isaiah Thomas has developed some moves that we're starting to see again and again. He's got a step in, step out, step back in move that is absolutely, freeing him to do whatever he wants. He's been showing his crossover a lot. This guy is really, really taking off. He is a legitimate, 20-point scorer. He's not going to ease in at like 20.1 or 19.98. He's going to end up, closer to 21 and a half points a game by the time this is all said and done, if he's playing. And, having him go out and miss a game, especially against a team that he historically lights up, this game was over before it began, and that's not a knock on Ray McCallum. It's just a reality, and I think that's okay with the Kings. It is okay. They want to stay at the 7th spot or possibly even go up from there, 6, 5, if they can get there. And for that matter, John, while the Kings are playing, it looks like Willie Cauley-Stein went down with a devastating injury. That's another guy around that 7, 8, 9, 10, point in the draft. And it looks like he may have even done something horrible to his Achilles. So, again, we don't know yet, but those are things that the Kings are looking at right now. Who is it that, we see Pete D'Alessandro and Chris Mullin in, watching tournament games, watching Arizona play, because Aaron Gordon's there. So these are all things that I think the Kings are looking at. They're looking at a much larger scale than what happens in a non-winnable game. I mean, you knew this game would have been tough even if you had all of your horses, and the Kings walked in, limping basically.
On a semi-related note, Marcus Smart was actually at tonight's game, so perhaps
yes, he was.
He was scouting the team that he might be playing for next year. We don't know. It's also a possibility he's in that range as well. Exactly. And another thing to note, too, regarding Isaiah Thomas against the Thunder, as some of you may remember, he did set a career high at the time in points, 38 in their January matchup in Oklahoma City. So once again, tough for the Kings, especially with their lack of depth at the guard position, to be without Isaiah Thomas this evening. All right, moving on to point number 2. Will DeMarcus Cousins have another game with point center numbers? And that was a resounding no. Tonight, DeMarcus Cousins finished with 4 points on 2 of 8 shooting, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 turnovers, and the foul trouble plagued DeMarcus again early. He picked up 3 in the first half that limited him to just 6 minutes total in that half of action. And then, in the third quarter, it was just kind of all out of control and out of reach for the Kings by then. So DeMarcus, once again, tonight not having the night that he had against the New York Knicks, where he totaled 32 points, 15 rebounds, and 8 assists. And one observation that I made during this game is that the Kings really just had trouble feeding him down low. He was trying to set up in the post, but for whatever reason, guys like Ray McCallum, Ben McLemore, Rudy Gay, they could not get him the ball around the basket. Credit the Thunder defense, and that forced DeMarcus Cousins into some high post action, which unfortunately lets him. I mean, he's capable of hitting that mid-range jumper, but he's so much better when he's around the post. and the Thunder really just took away that option for the Kings, and that's again credit to them because Steven Adams picked up 2 quick fouls early on, and you think once Hasheem Thabeet comes in the game, it's toast for the Oklahoma City front line. But Hasheem Thabeet, did a relatively good job, and the Thunder overall, their defense did a relatively good job holding Cousins far below his season averages tonight.
Yeah, I think that's something that's going to be missed in this game. I mean, this is a blowout, and you kind of go, okay, well, the Kings aren't that good. The fact is that you're right, John. The Oklahoma City Thunder played incredible defense, especially early on. They really limited everything that the Kings tried to do. The Kings couldn't get into their offensive set at all. The Kings shoot 36.5% from the field. They really, really struggled in this game. And if you take away what Travis Outlaw did from the perimeter, this game really even looks even worse. Travis Outlaw, 6 of 13 from the field, 5 of 6 from three-point land, finishes with 17 points in 31 minutes. I mean, those are impressive numbers. That really, really kept the Kings in this game, especially with Rudy Gay finishing with 7 points and DeMarcus finishing with 4. This is one of those nights where Cousins should have done a whole lot more. Things didn't go well early or often or at all. And, you just write this off. I think Cousins coming into this game had 8 consecutive double-doubles. He's had double-doubles. He had that stretch earlier where he had, 15 straight double-doubles before he got hurt in the Houston Rockets game. I think since then he's only had 2 games total, including tonight, where he didn't have a double-double. So he's been a monster all season long, and, games like this are going to happen. He'll get right back at it tomorrow night and on Monday, sort of this tight 3-game road trip in Dallas and then New Orleans. And I expect to see much, much bigger things out of Cousins.
All right, final point here. Will the Kings find a way to slow down Kevin Durant? And no, that's pretty much been a given. Nobody can slow Kevin Durant down at this point, not even the Sacramento Kings, obviously. But Durant finishes with basically a point for every minute that he played. 29 points in 29 minutes, 9 of 11 shooting, 6 assists, and he extends his streak. Now he's scored 25 points or more in 36 straight games. And I believe the only other player or the last player to have a similar streak like that was Michael Jordan in the late 80s for the Chicago Bulls. So obviously Kevin Durant and rarefied air there for the Oklahoma City Thunder. And yeah, he's just, it makes matters worse looking at what the Kings got out of their small forward. When you look at Rudy Gay finishing 3 of 11 from the field,
yeah,
7 points, that compounds the fact that, Kevin Durant was just incredibly efficient tonight in the Thunder victory.
Yeah, the Kings had no players tonight. That's something that you do have to look at in this game, that they didn't have the kitchen sink to throw at Kevin Durant. Rudy Gay only played 21 minutes. He turned the ball over 4 times, had 3 fouls. That's one of those deals where you hope that Rudy can match or come within 3 or 4 points of what Kevin Durant's going to do. If you can't get that, this game's over. And, the fact is, at this point in the season, Durant is prepping himself for a monster long-term playoff run. But, against Rudy Gay, he was exceptional. 9 of 11 from the field, 3 of 4 from behind the arc, 8 of 8 from the line. You talk about efficient. He scored 29 points on 11 shots. That's almost 3 points a shot. It's incredible what this guy can do. He's one of the true geniuses of the game that we've seen. You can compare him to George Gervin or a couple of other high-scoring guys, but he's just a joy to watch, and he comes out here and he does his job. The one thing I'll point out, just because I know that DeMarcus Cousins never gets a fair shake when it comes to his stuff, but if I'm not mistaken, Kevin Durant does have the same amount of technicals on the season. Him and DeMarcus Cousins both sit at 15 technicals on the year. So there is that one aspect of his game where he has actually got loose lips with the refs, and tonight it wasn't him getting technicals, but actually Oklahoma did give up a couple of freebies to the Kings by picking up techs, and it is what it is, man. You look across, and Kevin Durant is the guy you got to guard, and that's scary. I mean, the guy, the second he crosses half court, he's in range.
All right, James, player of the game tonight, I'm going to go with Travis Outlaw. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not. But he was good. I mean, Travis finished with 17 points on 6 of 13 shooting, 4 rebounds, and he scored in double figures 3 of the last 4 games for the Sacramento Kings, and he's been thrust into this position for the Kings as really their backup 2 guard, and tonight their backup small forward too, because Derek Williams did not play. And Travis, for the most part, has been a pro since he's been here. He's come out and been pretty solid. I think every time his number has been called this season. But you look at again, we just talked about him at length. Kevin Durant, you can't really can't overlook what he's done. 29 points again in 29 minutes, 9 of 11 shooting. For the Oklahoma City Thunder in victory, and that gets my Player of the Game award tonight.
Yeah, I think it's an easy one, John. I mean, Kevin Durant just sleptwalked his way to 29 points. On a related Travis and unrelated Travis Outlaw note, I guess I went to BJ's after the game last time out in Natomas, and half of the Kings roster is sitting in that restaurant in postgame. And I walked out at the same time Travis Outlaw did. We said hi. He has got to be one of the nicest guys we've ever dealt with at all as a Sacramento King. Like the rest of his team, they do spend a lot of time at BJ's Brewery, which,
that's what happens when your arena isn't downtown.
I guess, man.
At BJ's in Natomas.
Hey, the food is good, the beer is good, but I'll say this: everything on their menu is like between 1,800 and like 2,400 calories, and only a guy like Travis Outlaw could go there every night. He's a guy that's just blessed with incredible genetics, where he literally probably weighs, the same thing he weighed when he was like 16 years old. But we've talked about this in the past. It feels to me like the Kings are still showcasing Travis Outlaw, and I know that people are going to say, "What are you talking about?"
My favorite word, James.
It is. It's John's favorite word, showcase. And what I mean by that is that Travis Outlaw is in the final year. Next year is his final year of his contract with the Sacramento Kings. They owe him another $3 million. But if the Kings just flat out pay him to go away, and somebody picks him up at a veteran's minimum, then the Kings save that amount of money of his $3 million. And that ends up being like $1.3, $1.4 million for his years of service, because Travis Outlaw came into the league as like a 19-year-old high school kid, and he's been in the league forever. So he's been like 11 or 12 years in the league, even though he's still very young. He's still, 29, 30 years old. And so basically my point is that when you have nights like this from Travis Outlaw, where he physically looks like he could match up against Kevin Durant. He shows, this incredible 6'9" with a 7-foot wingspan, and he's long and he's athletic, and he comes in and he has a good night like this, where 6 of 13, 5 of 6 from three-point land. It's a good thing for Sacramento. It's a very good thing, because it's very possible that he's one of those pieces that the Kings just look at it and say, we don't need him next season, and they make a move, and hopefully he picks up somewhere and saves the Kings some money. So my player of the game, of course, is Kevin Durant, but secondary player of the game is Travis Outlaw for showcasing himself well.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, Jason Thompson finishing with a double-double off the bench, 14 rebounds, and Quincy Acey setting a new career high in rebounds with 13 boards. Granted, the Kings were missing a lot of shots. They shot 37% from the field. So, of course...
Hey, he missed a lot of shots himself,
Yeah.
Quincy Acey, maybe he was just doing Moses Malone, trying to get that 13 rebound mark, but 2 of 7 from the field for Quincy Acey.
Perhaps that was the case. All right, on that note, we'll wrap up this edition of the Road Reaction postgame show and be back again tomorrow, immediately following the Sacramento Kings Dallas Mavericks contest. That game tips off at 5:30 p.m. Join us for all the action, recapping all the action, I should say, after the game here on the Road Reaction postgame show on Cowbell Kingdom. So once again, It is a final from Oklahoma City. The Sacramento Kings losing to the Thunder 94-81. We'll be back again tomorrow for another edition of the Road Reaction postgame show. So for James Ham, I'm Jonathan Santiago. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of the Road Reaction postgame show here on CowbellKingdom.com.